Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2024 Chevy Equinox EV 2RS. Below me is a single electric motor powering the front wheels. Now I am super excited to be driving this Equinox EV because I think it looks good, I think it drives great, I'm excited to share it with you, and this is one of the first videos online, at least that I haven't seen any other videos yet. So I am very excited to be on the cutting edge of what GM is doing with their EV platforms, and that today is the Equinox EV. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zachpradel.com/submit. Also, huge thank you to Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake, Illinois for letting me take out this Equinox EV. More on them later on, but huge thank you to them. Browse their inventory, it'll be linked in the description below. They're wonderful, but let's get back to the Equinox EV. Well, you can get the drivetrain in two setups. You can either do a dual motor all-wheel drive or a single motor front-wheel drive. This is the single motor front-wheel drive, so it has 319 miles of range as opposed to the all-wheel drive that only has 285. So if range is your biggest concern, the front-wheel drive will be the way to go. However, it is nice that you do have that all-wheel drive option, of course. How does it feel to drive the Equinox EV? Actually drives really nice, but it also drives similar to every other GM EV currently on sale. I'm thinking similarly the Blazer EV drives nearly identical to this. There's not really too much differentiation when it comes to electric cars in terms of how they feel, and so that's very solid here. And it's not a bad driving experience. If you're used to EVs, you'll be used to it now, but it's nice, smooth, and consistent, and I like that a lot. Visibility out the front is pretty good. You do have these little extra corner windows that help out just a touch. Side visibility is fine. Rear visibility actually isn't as bad as it is in other vehicles, so I give it a thumbs up for what it is. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a completely digital gauge cluster, and again, this really mimics the Silverado EV and the Blazer EV's gauge cluster. I like the design of it. I think it's decently easy to read, and you can cycle through a couple different screens here, of course. Like, you could put your Google Maps up on the screen, which is lovely. You have your Super Cruise options, because this is outfitted with Super Cruise, and all of that, so it gets a pass in my book. On the steering wheel, on the left, we do have our cruise control options that do incorporate Super Cruise. So the 2RS Equinox EV gets Super Cruise, which is a very, very nice feature. Then off to the right, we have our voice commands, music, heated steering wheel, and our selectors for that gauge cluster screen. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent. Down below, we have our power parking brake, lane keep assist, auto holding brake, tailgate release, and our gauge dimmer switch. Moving on to the door, we have lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows, which is pretty standard. Moving into the center, we do get our infotainment system. Nice and large infotainment system, no messing about here. And I really like GM's modern UI when it comes to this sort of stuff. The controls are nice and easy to see, and it doesn't rely on the screen for the climate controls we'll talk about in a second. We do have things like heated seats and our pedals and controls, and this does have Google Assistant. Of course, it is a Google operating system, so we have like Google Podcasts, and we can enter our drive modes in here for normal, sport, snow and ice, and my mode. And I absolutely adore the graphics that come up to the right when you select through these modes. We also have our ambient lighting select in here, so we do get a bunch of different colors of ambient lighting to look through, and we have our camera buttons, so we can take a look through our cameras here. I think that they're pretty good quality for what they are, especially out of GM, so I'm happy to see all of that. Down below, we have two climate control vents and our climate controls. However, what's interesting is although they are physical, which I love and I wouldn't trade for the world, there's single zone. There's no dual zone climate in the Equinox EV 2RS. Very interesting to see that. But we get physical climate controls. GM, Chevy, whoever's watching, I am not complaining in the slightest. Okay, just want to get that out there. Then we do have a little pad down below with a wireless charger. And then we move up the center console. Two USB-Cs off to the left, as well as a little cubby for pens or whatnot. And off to the right, we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Equinox EV, and it takes a little bit of persuasion. However, it actually will go in, and so the Equinox EV passes the big friggin' bottle test. Then we do get a little center console. This is a lot smaller than what I thought it was going to be, which is fine, but something to note. And then we'll talk about the seats. The seats do have some red piping on them. They're a mix of cloth and leather and whatnot, and overall they're not wowing me, but my back also hasn't been hurting, so I guess it's not the worst in the world. I think they look decently presentable, and that's all I can really ask for from a vehicle like this. They are power too. I do want to get it out there. They are power. I just got a $60,000 Ford Mustang GT this morning, and it didn't have power seats, so I guess it's nice to have that here in the Equinox RS. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2024 Chevy Equinox EV RS, and a couple of things to note. First of all, knees are not hitting the seat in front of me. Head's not hitting the ceiling, even with my glasses on my head. So plenty of space back here. That is a really, really big perk of the Equinox. It's always been a big perk of the Equinox, even the outgoing, ugly, terrible model. This is so much better. It's absolutely wonderful. 2 climate control vents down here, as well as 2 USB-C outlets. I do have a center console with 2 cup holders. Other than that, no like crazy amenities. The finish panels around the door handles actually have like a fade from like silver to red, which I really, really like. I really enjoy the look of that, but overall, like I said, nothing too crazy. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. Right around the back of the Equinox EV RS, double click it here on the key fob, and it does, of course, have a power lift gate around the back. Goodbye, backup camera. I just kind of saw it floating up there. Once we are back here, of course, floor mats, keeping them nice and crispy for the first owner of this vehicle. We do have areas for some privacy covers, and the second row of seats do fold down. Pull this up right here. We get plenty of storage down there, of course, with the charger and whatnot, some extra add-on dealer goodies found down there. Overall, nothing really too crazy to write home about. I would have loved to have seen either a 12-volt outlet. Oh, never mind. My wishes have been answered. Now, I would have really liked to have seen a wall outlet like the Silverado EV gets, but I think that's asking a little bit too much of the Equinox. Overall, nice space back here. You're going to be able to fit plenty of stuff. Come up here, single power button, and it'll power fold right back down. Absolutely love that. Nice, smooth, and quiet. Now we got to talk about the looks. And guys, this looks so good for an Equinox. This is an Equinox. I think it looks super handsome, especially the rear end. I think it all looks really good. You could definitely see a very strong Chevy design language coming out as of recent with the Blazer EV, the Silverado EV, and now the Equinox EV all together. I think they have a really, really strong family bond, as you can see. If you just look at them all, you can say, oh, all those cars are related to one another. And I like that when you could tell from a brand that they're all somewhat similar. And it's just so much better than the 2023 Equinox RS that I had last year. It's so much better than that. I mean, this thing really had a glow up of all glow ups, and I am so proud of the Chevy designers for really stepping up their game and delivering something handsome this time around. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Chevy Equinox EV RS2? Really just RS2 package, just add some extra stuff. That's why it only says RS in the title. Whatever. I like it a lot. You know, first and foremost, as I just ranted and raved about, I think it looks really good, and that was going to be my selling point. The outgoing Equinox just never did it for me, and this most certainly does. I like all the tech in here. I do like the Google Assistant, although there is no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. I think that would get somewhat frustrating, but I've always used Google Maps anyway, so I feel like I might be able to come around to it at some point. I like how it drives, but it doesn't drive in any sort of unique way. It just goes forward and backward and sometimes side to side when you turn the big wheel sitting in front of you. And so I guess that's the biggest downside of this Equinox EV, is that it doesn't have a very distinct personality separate from the Blazer. Why would I choose a Blazer over an Equinox or an Equinox over a Blazer? No, I'm actually asking, why would I? I don't know. And unfortunately, at the time of filming this video, I don't actually have an MSRP of this vehicle. I will add an estimated MSRP that you saw at the beginning of the video, but I'll add that in post. As I'm driving right now, do not know the MSRP of this vehicle, and so I can't really compare it. I can't say if it's worth the money. I can't say if it's not worth the money. But from where I'm sitting, if my significant other or parent or grandparent came home with one of these, I wouldn't scoff. I would say, that's a nice car, and I enjoyed my time with it. So I hope this helped, maybe a little bit more of just a walkthrough of the Equinox EV RS. I'm excited to see these out and about on the streets. I hope that there's some more interesting colors than just the silver, although I do like the silver. I feel like it could really pop with some cool colors, and if I know anything about GM, I know that they usually have some pretty cool colors up their sleeve. Huge thank you to Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake, Illinois for letting me take out their Equinox EV. Like I said, jumping on it, striking while the iron's hot, and Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake absolutely allows me to do that. They're wonderful. I saw it, they had one on the lot. I said, boom, gotta film it. They let me film it immediately. No haggle, no stress. Everyone there met me with a smile. They have popcorn you can have. It's really, really, truly a lovely dealership group. They also have a Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Chrysler store that I highly recommend. And so, at the end of the day, I really, really, truly appreciate Ray Chevrolet. I didn't mean for all that to rhyme, but I hope you guys enjoyed it and the video. But don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.